Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Today we have with us Rita Wilson. Rita is a franchise owner with AlphaGraphics in Beaufort, Bluffton, Hilton, Hilton Head, excuse me, South Carolina. So with over 250 locally owned and operated AlphaGraphics centers, AlphaGraphics offers professional printing and marketing partners who make ideas come to life, from custom signs, large format printing, and canvas prints to business cards, vehicle wraps, and vinyl banners. There's nothing that AlphaGraphics can't create. So I'm so excited you're here because our pre-show conversation, I'll remember you're already the most interesting person I've ever met. So welcome to the show, Rita.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we have about a million questions for you, but since our time is short, take us where it began, like right before franchise.
Right before franchise or
Yeah.
actually I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, and went to the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and graduated in the early 80s. From there, got into business. I have a marketing and PR degree and one in a bachelor in fine arts. I have a degree in dance. So I started out in dance and decided I did not like being a starving artist. So I went back and picked up my marketing degree and went to work at a couple of different places, marketing research, and then went to work at the Birmingham News, which is where I met my husband. And I was actually his client. And we got married and moved to Dallas, Texas from Birmingham, Alabama. I'd said I would never move out of the South, but I guess Texas is still considered the South. But then we were there for about 4.5 years, moved back to the South, and went to work in events and marketing. And so from there, it's just continued to work in marketing, in the field of marketing and in different areas.
There's something
You were fascinating. She was fascinating before she even said the word dance. She was already fascinating.
I know. I was thinking the
Whole
same
other
thing,
level.
Tracy. You know what? There's a lot about this story that you kind of brushed over. First off, you stated the time that you had left high school and went to university was in the early 80s. I graduated in 1976. I'm a bit older than you are. But the world was a different place in
Yes.
1976. Excuse me, in the early 80s. So tell me about the world then and how you decided to pursue marketing and go become a career woman. That was not something I considered when I got out of high school. It was get married, have babies, canned beans, right? That's what I was raised.
Right. Well, my mother had worked my whole life. She worked for the phone company for 33 years. And so I never ever considered not working. To me, it was just something that mothers did. So she was my inspiration to work. I went to college and I wanted to get a marketing degree and a dance degree. And my father said, "Why aren't you studying to be a secretary?" And
Exactly.
yeah, that's what he thought I should be doing. But I convinced him that to go a different route and got my degree in dance and one in marketing. And from there, you know, like I said, I tried dance. I always wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to be,
Yeah.
a famous dancer on Broadway, and it just things didn't work out. And I didn't like the freezing colds and the humongous cities up north. So I wanted to go back home. I was homesick. I'm an only child. And so I wanted to go back to Birmingham. And that's when I picked up my marketing degree and started to work in marketing. Started out actually in marketing research. So I wrote studies for Scarborough and for Nielsen, and did a lot of marketing research on demographics on people who watch media. So
Neat. So then how did you eventually transition into, was it franchise, or at what point were you in the newsroom?
well, I went to work when I went back to Birmingham, and after a few years, I went to work at the Birmingham News, which was the state's largest newspaper.
Okay.
And at that point, I got a real big introduction to the business world and the good old boys club at the time. The newspaper industry was very male-oriented. The women were secretaries or sold classified ads over the phone. I was actually in the marketing department and did presentations to some of the largest advertisers. At that time, I was told, I should wear glasses to make myself look smarter. We were not allowed to wear pants. So things were a lot different for women in the early 80s. I graduated from the University of Alabama in 1981. So it was in 1985, I believe, I went to work for the Birmingham News. And the guys were great. I mean, they treated me like one of the guys, but there were still different rules. They all had credit cards and country club memberships, and I did not. So women at that time had to work twice as hard as men for less money. And that's just the way it was. It was never a deterrent or discouragement to me. It just made me tougher, made me fight harder, improve myself. So things are a lot different now.
Thank goodness, right? Things have evolved.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful how things have evolved. And I think you're right. I think going through having to prove ourselves and work harder and not get the same benefits, whether that's a credit card or country club membership or whatever it is, that did make us stronger and make
Yeah.
us more capable, because we were building muscles that they didn't have to build. So I think it does make us stronger. Do you think that getting stronger that way built your confidence, built your ability to take future challenges on or risks on? Do you think it led to that in some way?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It probably it did make me stronger. It wasn't a huge confidence boost, but I became more determined. And I think that is one of the keys to success is if you have resilience and determination. So owning your own company, those are skills and assets that you need to be successful.
Yeah,
So true.
we totally agree. We're in the profiling business and we absolutely agree with your statement there. Okay, I want the full story. So we
Okay.
went to university, we ended up in the newsroom, and we're in the marketing. We're learning, growing, being challenged. You mentioned something about the Miss Alabama pageant. So how did we get there?
When I worked for the Birmingham News, they were the largest sponsor of the Miss Alabama pageant. So we actually, in the marketing and promotion department, we were in charge of the Miss Alabama pageant. We directed it. Were responsible for all the local pageants, and for training Miss Alabama for the Miss America pageant. So we did the shows. They have a show that's a week-long show, the preliminaries leading up to the crowning. So we were in charge of all of that.
Wow. So what was your participation in it? Did you work directly with the contestants?
Yes, I was the director of the Miss Alabama pageant. There was an executive director, which was Nora Chapman, and she was one of my mentors, another very strong woman. Um, And then I worked under her as the director. So I was in charge of the show. She would create the show, come up with the theme, and then the night of the pageants, I would run the show. And then all the Miss Alabamas would live with me. And
Aw,
as they prepared for
yeah.
the Miss America pageant, so I would drill them on current events. I would make sure they got to the gym to work out, make sure they followed all the rules they were supposed to as a representative for our state.
That would be
Wow. So you
fascinating
trained.
to watch, right?
Right.
So, would you consider this something that had a big influence in your life going forward? And if so, how? And were there any other influences in how that then directed where you went in the future?
Well, I think it impacted me in that I was helping other women. I've always felt that was very important to be able to help other women become successful. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the Miss Alabama pageant is at that time, you know, thinking back on the 70s and the 80s, we didn't have women's sports like they have now, which they're trying to take away. We just had
No.
we had very few things that you could get a scholarship for and go to college. And so that was a big um, factor for me is that the Miss Alabama pageant, the Miss America pageant gave scholarships to young women to go to college that otherwise couldn't go. And, you know, and that's why I say it's much more than a beauty pageant. It's a scholarship pageant. It gives them a leg up. You could be a cheerleader, you could be a majorette, you could be a beauty pageant girl, and that's about it back then. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how
So
it
what is
influenced me.
what are some of the areas that you coach them on, right? Because you're right. I think a lot of people think about the aesthetics or the cosmetics of it. But what
Right.
are the other areas that you really help to develop within the contestants?
Well, one of the things that people don't think about, but when you have to parade around the stage in front of hundreds of people in a swimsuit, that you have to have a lot of confidence to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things we work on is, you know, self-esteem and confidence in yourself. You don't have to be perfect. There are no perfect people, but to be confident in comfortable in your own skin. And then the other factor was interview skills. You know, being able to answer a question intelligently and with some thought, instead of being a robot or just spitting out something you'd heard somewhere else. You had to put some thought and research into the topics you were going to be quizzed on or as your platform.
So true. And with your background in marketing and being in the newsroom and all of those kinds of things with the paper, you could keep them current on current events too. So if any questions were asked around that, you had them prepared to do that, I'm
Yes,
assuming. So,
yes,
so you mentioned something pre-interview, and I wonder if you let me ask you questions about it. One was this book called Tuesdays with Maury. I
yes.
remember reading that book years ago. What was it that you took away from reading that book?
It made me think about the important things of life. Here's a gentleman at the end stages of life, and he's looking back and thinking about all the lessons he's learned and the things that are now that he finds important that were not important, or the things that he thought were important when in his younger years, he find in his later years weren't so important after all.
Yeah, yeah. Too bad we don't think of that every single day. Where we're literally measuring our day, how important is this thing I'm getting all stressed out over? Or how important or how valuable is this exchange that's happening? In the end, what am I tallying up? How am I spending my day, my time, my gifts, my talents in a way that really matters. I think we could do more reflection in that arena.
And I think, in this second chapter of my life, moving down here to a new place, starting a new business, I see things a lot differently. I have a different, I see a purpose of life. I look at things in that I can build a legacy now that I didn't think about when I was younger. That wasn't important, building a legacy. It was more about how much could I make? How much could I achieve? How much status could I have? And those
Mhm.
things aren't so important as you get older. Um, you take all life lessons and all the things you've learned, your experiences and everything, and you use those to make life better for other people. And in return, you feel good. I feel good. I feel joyous every day because of what we're able to do to help other people. We use our business to help a lot of nonprofits, and that makes me feel good.
And you're the final decision maker on it,
Yes,
right?
that's what I like about being a business owner. When you work for someone else, you have to ask their permission. When you own a business, you decide who you can give back to and how much you can give. And, we've had the big houses and the big cars, and at this time of our life, that's not important. What's important is the legacy we're going to leave behind and the things we're going to do for other people. So,
So you're
So
seeing
speaking
some
about,
I'm sorry, Tracy.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So what's interesting is you're seeing AlphaGraphics, your business, as a way to live life more on purpose, let's call it, where it really does have meaning, as what we learned in Tuesdays with Maury. So tell me why AlphaGraphics, and in what ways does AlphaGraphics make this possible for you to leave this kind of legacy?
okay, those are good questions. I think Alpha Graphics has this great network. When we bought into Alpha Graphics, we were looking for something to do. My husband had an ad agency for 20 years, and we were looking for something that we could do here together and use our experience and our talents. And through Alpha Graphics, it allowed us to take the things that we could create and make them happen. So my son calls it arts and crafts. We 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 call it visual communications. Um, but in a lot of ways, we sponsor local events, nonprofit fundraising events by making their props and making their signage and doing their programs and donating those to them so that they can keep more money in their coffers for what the intent is meant to be.
So since you mentioned your son, is he in the family business or does he do his own thing?
No, he is not in the family business. He right now he works for BMW. He is one of their performance drivers, and he got that job. He was in NASCAR for years. He grew up as a race car driver, and I use my marketing skills to help him in that area. But that's what he does now. So
I find it
Oh, a
interesting that
race
he
car.
calls it arts and crafts, right?
yes. Well, the first year we were here, he did work for us because COVID hit and he had lost his sponsor in racing. So he came down here with us and we put him in our sign room. And he was like, I would get upset about something. He'd go, "Oh, Mom, don't sweat it. This is just arts and crafts. You're just making stuff." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's a good way to look at it because it is fun. We create and it's fun to do that. I love driving around town and saying, "Oh, we made
Oh,
that
good
sign.
one.
We did that sign."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's
So,
there's definitely a pride in all of that, isn't there?
There is.
So
so I have a burning question.
Okay.
I would never in a million years be able to, I guess, watch my son driving at fast speeds. Or even, I don't even know that I have it in me to support him doing that because I would be so terrified. So I want to know, what is it in you that was so grounded and balanced and able to support your son with his NASCAR career?
Well, Tracy, I was unable to watch many of his races as he got older, but when he started when he was 8 years old, and when they start and they're going, 10 miles an hour around a track, it's no big deal. They've got on safety equipment. You don't feel so scared. But as they get older, the cars get bigger and the speeds get faster. And that's when it becomes very terrifying as a mother. My husband didn't seem to have that problem, but I did. And as he was older, I would always be at the tracks to support him in his dream, but I could not watch him. I would be there on site, but I was unable to watch the actual race.
Amazing.
I think I would be similar, but I guess it goes back to the question of the difference between men and women, right? You've succeeded beautifully in business. Um, but I do think men are a little bit better at some of these crazy adventures and risks.
Yes,
And your husband was able to deal with it better than you were. So both of you are in business together, right?
yes, yes. First
So
time ever that we've worked together like that.
yay. So how does that work where you balance each other in business? Is he more of a, hey, we should try this and we should go into the, is he the risk taker or do you
He
tell me
is.
more?
We have totally different skill sets and which is great. But we moved down here. I thought I was actually going to be able to sit on the bluff and enjoy a glass of wine. And I learned very quickly that that no, I was going to be needed in the business as well. He was in ad agency. He was what they called the suit. So he was the strategic thinker and the financial money person. I'm more the people person. I get out there, I do more of the sales. I run the operations because of the details behind it. But, he's very involved in the community. He and I both serve on boards and do our own activities in the community. But we work well together in that we have totally different talents. We both see the marketing and advertising side of things, but we bring different talents to that. So
Isn't that amazing when each person knows their role and you support each other, but each person has their own NASCAR lane, so to speak.
yes, exactly. We're on the same team, but we're different parts of the pit crew.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll change the tires, you drive, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the pit crew here. So tell me about the legacy. You've kind of hit a few pieces of it, but when people out in the future talk about you, what are they saying? What do you want them to say about you? What's the legacy you want to leave?
I want people to think of me as a giver, that I
Mhm.
gave back to my community. I appreciated what I have and what I'd been given in life. And I want to now have that opportunity to share that and give back. And I also want to think that I've brought some joy in people's life. I told you earlier, that's one of my favorite words is the word joy. And many people tell me that when I laugh, they get that sense of joy. So I hope for years after I'm gone, people will remember my laugh.
Oh,
Oh,
so nice.
that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That
That
almost
really,
made me cry. That is beautiful. You need to be recording it. That beautiful laugh of yours.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, since you kind of hit this idea of joy, how would you describe joy? And how is it different than other, great emotions like happiness or elation or something else? How would you describe joy for someone that has not experienced it or recognized it?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's just this feeling that you get. It's not necessarily being happy all the time. It's loving where you are in life, loving what you do, loving who you're with. Um, just, I don't know, it's just joy. It's just having a smile on your face, whether you want to or not, um, and sharing that with other people.
It's it's I'm hearing an old Southern hymn in my head as you're talking, and it's called Joy Unspeakable and Full of Glory. It really is a place of absolute contentment, almost, that you're telling me, content with your life, happy with your life, joyful with your life, with who you're with, what you're doing, where you are, and who you serve. It's a joy that's unspeakable. You
Yes,
almost can't really define it until you're in it. And there you are. It's like, boy, I think this is joy that I'm feeling.
yes, exactly.
We
Yeah.
can all watch the movie Inside Out, the kids movie, which is all about feelings and getting into
Yes,
it.
emotions, right.
Yeah. My grandkids love that movie.
Exactly. So yeah, it's so cute, so cute.
Mhm.
So Rita, if our listeners want more of your joyousness, how can they reach you?
Well, we are right down here on Boundary Street in Beaufort, South Carolina, and they can call our office 843-525-6603. They can email me. I'm always available. I actually have clients and customers who we're closed on the weekends, but they text me or call me during the weekends if they have any questions. So I'm always here. I might be sitting on the bluff with a glass of wine, but I'll take your call.
I love.
Nice.
So, and if you want to learn more about becoming an AlphaGraphics franchisee, they can go straight to the AlphaGraphics website and learn more uh,
Yes.
there.
Yes,
It
and I would be happy to talk to anybody about being a franchise owner. We've been very pleased with being a part of the AlphaGraphics team and the network of owners. That's one of the reasons we joined AlphaGraphics is the network of owners they have available and the support system they have. I have some very, very close friends who are owners now because we all are on the same page and we get it. We get each other. And
yeah.
sometimes you need to talk to somebody who's right where you are. So
And again, that's the beautiful part about franchising, the relationships that are created through it and the support of one another. If you're bringing in some of your closest friends into the business, you believe in this business, right? You know
right.
that you can be successful. I think it's a wonderful concept. It's been around for many, many years. It's proven itself again and again and again. I am curious though, as you're talking, percentage wise, and you may not know this, so it's going to be probably more of a guess. Are there a lot of couples involved in this business where they're like you, where you complement one another, or are there more individual business owners?
It's interesting because there are a lot of couples. A lot of the people that or either, or mother, son, father, daughter, mother, daughter. So there are a lot of family owned franchises. We've been in an owners group for several years, and there's a mother, son. There are three husband, wife, and only one of the owners in the group was just a single man. Well, he was married, but he ran the company by himself. His wife wasn't involved, but I mean, for the most part, a lot of the ones
Okay.
are couples or families. Yeah.
Or partners of some sort.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I've been in the franchise space, Rita, for 32 years. And
Wow.
AlphaGraphics is one of those legacy companies where a husband and wife may come into the business, but then they pass it on to daughter and her husband, or son and his wife.
Yeah.
It is a business that builds generational wealth. So it's a beautiful, beautiful business. All right, I could
It
go
is.
on and on forever. Final piece of advice Miss Rita Wilson would give to anyone considering going into business. Advice that you wished you would have gotten years ago.
Oh gosh. Um, it's always better to work for yourself than to work for someone else. You can make your decisions, and if you make a mistake, it's on you. You're responsible. Um, and there's just a good feeling about it. I mean, we work a lot of hours. We work longer hours than we ever did when we worked for corporations, big businesses, but we're working for ourselves. We're not working for someone else. And that's what's important.
Thank you. That's great advice. We really appreciate you joining us today, Rita. You've inspired me to be looking at how it is I don't feel that level of joy yet, and what I need to do to get my mindset right so I can have more of that. I'm in the right place, doing the right thing with the right people. I want that same level of joy you have, and a contagious laugh like you have. So I really appreciate you being here today. So thank you for making time for us.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I felt like I was having coffee with a girlfriend. So
Hanging out, well, wine in your case, right?
not yet. It's not 5:30 yet.
So over to you,
5:30
Tracy, your
somewhere.
final words.
Rita, I really appreciate your heart. I feel like there's nothing that you've ever learned, nothing that you've ever been through that you didn't use later on to make someone else's life easier, better, to make them more equipped to handle challenges. And I'm talking not only supporting your son, but also supporting all of the contestants in the pageants, even to the relationships that I didn't even have to ask you. I'm sure you have strong relationships with your customers. I know it because it's just who you are. It follows you wherever you go, it permeates. And I just love your heart. I love that you said that you don't have to ask anybody to give back. You said that prior to us taping, and then I kind of brought it up again because that's just who you are. You like to have control over who you give back to because you know that there's so much that you want to give and so much you want to do. And I just applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna make me cry.
You're beautiful.
Me and Rebecca are gonna cry.
You can let me forget, really.
Y'all
Um,
gotta come down here and visit me in Beaufort. I call it
oh, I would
Mayberry.
love that.
This is
Love
like Mayberry. It's like living in Mayberry. You must come. That's why I have joy.
It's beautiful. That's
Beaufort is our Mayberry. I love it. So you're living the life, girl. I
I
suggest
am.
the rest of us learn how to live that kind of life. And again, thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you both. I appreciate the time.
And thank you to our listeners, of course. Make sure to comment and like and forward this interview with Rita Wilson, franchisee in Beaufort, South Carolina. And of course, we'll see you on another episode of the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose come together, profits are made, and relationships forged. We'll see you next week.